at that time.
I just thought of a question I want to ask you, and I've never asked you this before, so if you don't want to talk about it, no problem. Just let me know. Molly's game. Did you play Molly's game, or
A lot.
what can you tell us about it? And what did you
There's
think of
nothing I don't mind talking about.
What did you
by
think
the way.
about the movie and how they portrayed sort of your character?
Oh, I mean,
They didn't really talk about it much, but I mean,
no, and
it was just kind of weird how they.
I didn't worry about how they portrayed me. It concerned me that it was so far from the truth.
Yeah.
The whole movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us some things that were super inaccurate, or some things that?
A couple highlights, top
So
3
let's
top
say
5.
for at least 3 or 4 years, I was playing once or twice a week. So let's say I was as regular as almost anyone in the game. I didn't play. Well, I mean, who knows? Who knows how many people played how many times? But I played as many times as top 10 players in that game for sure. So I definitely have a perspective, and I could tell you that that's not the way it went. And I don't want to bash anybody or anything like that. But I think what people find really interesting is that that's what all led to when people ask me if I sold my bracelet, if I went broke. All these really personal things that people went way off and had no idea. In the same way that people thought that I was backed in the main event by someone and that I owed someone this money where they didn't understand that it was a gift and that I paid him and that he sued me anyway because he didn't want to pay taxes on his money. And the whole thing was just, I could tell that whole story some other time, but it's amazing how many people still didn't know the truth, even though it's all public record. It wasn't public record of what really happened, or at least not all public record through Molly's game, and how, think about this, I'm not going to talk about myself specifically or anyone else, so this way I'm not making myself look better or worse than anybody else, and I'm not bashing anybody, but let's just say that there was someone in the game that won $100 million over, which is buying in for $1 million a night, a couple times a week for years. Somebody could win collectively $100 million in that game.
Sure.
Not that hard, to believe. But let's say that same person actually lost $80 million in that game, which is also not hard to believe. Even being a winner, you're still not a full winner.
Win, yeah.
But the government, when they came after all of us, not because they thought we did anything wrong originally, not because of Molly, not because of any of that, but because there was a guy in our game named Hedge Fund Brad Ruderman.
Yeah.
He was the mini Madoff. Before there was Bernie Madoff, he stole, I don't know what the number was. This is all very public. $250 million or something.
Right. They talked about that a lot in the
Ponzi
movie.
scheme from a hedge fund. That was true.
And he was trying to get investors in the game.
Yes and no, but he also lost. He was the biggest loser in the game for a long time. And so when the government was now after they indicted him, they put him away for 10 years. They were following the money trail, and it came to this poker game. And so everyone else settled right away because they didn't want, Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't need that kind of press that they're doing. So they all just settled with the government on whatever taxes they thought they owed. Some other people, maybe like myself, we're not just going to settle because why would I paid my taxes on everything that I've ever won in a poker game, but never game by game. They were trying to say that, well, we have these records that, because a lot of times I would pay in cash, again, trying to be too kind and generous to people when they would say, would you just not write me a check? Other people would write me checks, and I would take the checks. We never thought that it would all come to. So we figured that the records of what you won and lost, and then you pay on what you won for the year. But if they try to just make you pay on your gross winnings, can you imagine any poker player paying 40%?
No. Yeah.
And are you liquid for that? And when they're coming to you saying whatever the number is? So needless to say, so the government froze all my assets. And one of my assets, my famous assets, was that bracelet.
Oh.
Wow.
So people thought I was broke. It was the opposite of broke, and I didn't need to auction my bracelet, but it was taken from me, and then they threatened me that way that, hey, we're going to auction off all your belongings, and so they did that as a test to try to, the government gets very serious when they think that you owe them a tax debt, and I ended up clearing it all. I came ahead, I won my case, and. But I couldn't get the bracelet back.
Wow.
Because,
wow! So
because it was auctioned off during that whole time. without getting into the exact details of how it all went, I was not part of the auction. Let's just say that. I didn't actually go and sell it to somebody for 67 grand or whatever. They didn't know what it was even worth. At the time, now it wouldn't be worth that much, but at the time, there were people offering me $500,000 for that.
Wow.
That people who, to put it into, I don't want to seem like I'm bragging about any that my bracelet's more special, but at the time, people put a lot of value on that one bracelet.
Yeah.
And it was made differently than everybody else's bracelets up to that time, and then afterwards they would make these little ones. Anyway, it's very odd that if I did auction it, that I would give it away for $67,000. And if I needed the money, I would have auctioned it for 500 grand and kept the money. And so everything worked out for me, luckily. But what the end of what really how it came down is that I had to explain to people that, if you talk to even a judge who's presiding, and you say to them, listen, have you ever played a game of poker? Sure. What do you win, $100? Sure. So you send the government $40, right? And they just laugh. I said, what is the difference if you win $1 million or you win $100? The law is the law. Either you owe 40% or you don't. And we do not. Every time we have a win, we do not. It's at the end of the year with our wins and our losses. Yeah. You cannot come after me just because these were more famous and more on public record. What about all my losses? You think I never lose? Yeah. People think I lose. Some people think I never win. Yeah. So I love how some people would come to me and they go, well, you obviously all you only do is win. You must have won. It's amazing the difference of so many people. Yeah, the respect or the lack of respect. And usually in life, people who tell you how great you are way off, and people who tell you how terrible you are way off.
Sure,
it's most people have no clue of who you really are. Yeah, right. And so that was what I remember most about the Molly's Game situation is all the stress that it ended up causing me in my life financially. It was really, and I just didn't, because I felt like if I gave up and I allowed that situation to go that way, then they could put that onto every poker player that ever lived and say to them, yeah, you're just going to have to pay. What if they change the laws or they use that case as a precedent? Right. Yeah. So it never actually reached, all the way. It never went all that way, but it finally ended without me having to spend more millions of dollars to defend it, which I just felt like I had to defend myself. Yeah, and of course. So that's where. So when people ask, did I auction my bracelet? I did not auction my bracelet. So it got auctioned. The government doesn't actually do it themselves, but anyway, it got auctioned. So they wouldn't even tell me who got it. So by the way, out there, if anybody knows who bought my bracelet, I would like to buy it back. Yeah. I will give you. I'll pay you double.
Whatever. Yeah.
Wow, pay you 120 grand.
That's yours.
Yeah, it's the one and only. I mean, it's not. It doesn't bother me that much in effect as a trophy. It just feels like it's something that, or at least I should know who it is that has it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like having your your kid adopted and not knowing who the parents are or something.
Yeah, I would love to know who has it. Yeah. So if they would love to double their money.
Yeah, I mean, it might not exist anymore. It might just be broken down to diamonds or something.
It could be, because they could probably get, because it was like white gold, platinum, diamonds, ruby, this, that. I don't know if they would get more than 60,000 if they just broke it up. Yeah. But I don't think anybody would bid on that just to break it up. It wouldn't seem. No idea. I don't know.
What is this WSOP bracelet?
Why would somebody bid on it if they didn't even care?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was weird in the movie how they had it was clearly you they were talking about because they tried to change the characters to make them
they were calling me Silverman or something.
Yeah, and then they said that you were like a substitute teacher and you moved to Florida and killed yourself.
Yeah,
that was really is that kind of weird when you saw that? Was that funny or was that kind of like, whoa, why did you make me so dark?
No, because the whole thing was so fake that I.
And they showed Gordon Vail, I think. As the the video, is that who it was?
I don't know.
They showed one of the old guy, somebody else that was heads up. I think it might have been Gordon Vail or somebody from the last couple of years, and said that was you, but it said Silverman or something. Yeah, they just had to pick a Jewish name. Yeah, Goldenbergstein.
I don't know.
Yeah, So you say that.
But any movie that you ever see that says based on a true story is very rarely based in very much truth.
I heard there was one girl in the movie who actually worked in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember her name, but someone that played in the game or was involved in the game told me about that. That's pretty cool. She auditioned for the role of herself and got it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember what her name is, but that's really cool.
Yeah, it's not something that that most people I know wanted to be any part of because, it's you're talking about the private lives of not me, but of other celebrities and public people, and in the same breath that you're saying that I'm not going to talk about other people's private lives, and so I didn't understand that whole part of it. It was kind of odd. The way that whole thing went down, and I guess maybe it's a little more sensitive to me because I had been an agent, manager, representative of public people, and so I'm really sensitive to sharing. I just also never believe in sharing anybody's private business that way that isn't okay with you sharing it, or that isn't
it's not
already
public domain,
right? Public domain and factual.
Yeah.
That it's I don't know. So it's but it's Aaron Sorkin's a brilliant writer and great director, and Molly certainly put in her time. And
you still talk to her at all?
I would. I haven't seen her in years.
But I imagine you guys had a good relationship.
Yeah, I always liked her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like her a lot more than the movie. Let's say, or the fact that the movie's not really true.
Did you read the book as well, or just?
No, never read the book. I know that she wrote something in the book that wasn't true about me.
Oh, really?
I'm assuming that she wrote a lot of things that weren't true to sell the book. But I know a lot of my friends said, "Wow, when I read that was really frustrating that she didn't want to tell the truth and get her facts straight."
She probably wouldn't make herself look good too.
No, I don't think it was. I think it was just ignorance. I think she just assumed that that I did something, that I hadn't done about when I won the main event. Like a lot of people just don't ask me.
Gotcha.
They just assume, I don't want to ask you something just in case you did do something wrong. Right. It would be an uncomfortable thing for some people to ask me if they care about me. But I think most people by now know the truth. That we'll do that on another show. But the truth is, if anybody wants to know, that no one ever brought me into the main event. Yes, I did give them the money. I did promise them as a gift because they helped our Bodog team get some celebrities, and so they were supposed to be bought in for $10,000, and they never got their buy-in. So I felt so bad for him. I said, "I'll split with you whatever I win." Absolutely, was always giving him the money, but he was from the UK, and in the UK you don't pay gambling earnings taxes on gambling earnings. So some lawyer convinced him to sue me, knowing that he would get a third, even if I just settled for small money. So some really evil lawyer who was trying to
Will Kassouf.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I see.
But so I think I sent him a check for $4.2 million, which is $6 million after taxes, and he told me to go screw myself, and then he wouldn't accept it.
Wow.
I was
He sent it back and sued you?
So my mother and all my friends were like, "Screw this guy! Like, what an evil, greedy, horrible human being."
So he wanted
who
6.
was also broke at the time.
Oh, so he
wanted the full 6. And
so
he said,
you guys made an agreement, like a casual agreement beforehand, like not thinking you're going to win the main event. Like,
I did think I was going to win, but it doesn't matter. I said I'll split wherever I win with you. No problem.
But then you didn't
and
discuss.
I did.
But you
right
guys
after my taxes.
So you guys didn't discuss really the tax implications beforehand.
There was nothing to discuss. He didn't back me, so he had no part of it. When you give gifts to people, it's on you when you win it.
True.
If someone doesn't back you, it doesn't matter what he wanted. I had to pay the taxes on mine. So should I come out with 0 for a guy who did nothing?
Right.
And I was just being generous and kind. And then we had no contract.
He should be happy to get a check for 4.2.
It wasn't a backing thing. It was just a pure gift.
So he basically wanted to deny your check 4.2 to get an extra 1.8.
There's no way he was ever getting it.
Right.
No chance I was ever going to get. Why would I give him 1.8 out of my money that I pay taxes on and triple tax myself?
Yeah, exactly.
When I earned the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so he didn't put up $1, but I think he allowed with the stories, and everybody then started saying, "Oh, I heard that guy got back," because people were getting back then.
Right.
And people do now, and that's why I started U-Stake, so that everybody understands that you can get back and be in a fair situation.
Right.
But how sad that people still didn't know the truth. And so they'll still think, "Oh, aren't you the guy who screwed somebody once?" Not only have I never screwed anybody, if you've known me, I'm not the guy who looks to angle people and steal their money and take it. All I ever do is try to be generous and kind to everyone my whole life. And so the time when I can really be the most generous, do you think I'm all of a sudden, especially when it's public, why? It just that wouldn't make any sense. Why would I try to steal someone's money? The whole thing is just so weird.
Yeah, I think you got a bad rap on a lot of things, and maybe didn't get a chance to really tell your story.
Yeah, that was it. Was everybody said I made the mistake? What they didn't understand is because I refused every time someone went on television to talk about it, because they were trying to do that to get me to, to make a settlement that I would more than I should have made. Right, yeah. Every article, I never responded because my dad was dying. They didn't know if he was going to last 1 day or 6 months. He had ALS. He was on his deathbed, and I'm supposed to give up 1 minute of time during this time to argue with some asshole who's making up lies about me. I was like, screw you. I don't give a shit about